Alright, I apologize for the lighting in advance. It's just like a weird lighting day. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dion, and today we are doing probably the most requested video. Like, y'all are always in my comments about this video idea, which is the old money aesthetic. Now, the reason why I've been so hesitant on making this video is that so many YouTubers have covered this subject, and they've done East Coast rich versus West Coast rich, they've done what is old money, they've done outfit ideas. And so the reason why I resisted so much is because I was just thinking, like, what am I gonna bring to the table when it comes to this subject? And yeah, it felt very overdone to me, but we're gonna do it today. So before we get into it, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post videos every Thursday, and with that, let's talk about old money. I tried doing a slick back ponytail also, but I didn't feel like putting gel or hairspray in my hair because I just washed my hair, so it's just like a regular ponytail. You arise at 9 a.m. in your 500 thread count sheets in your 4-poster canopy bed. You descend down the marble staircase into the parlor for breakfast on your great-grandmother's tea set. You take the car down to the art gallery to curate some new pieces for an exhibit coming up, and your grandfather calls and invites you to the house in the Hamptons this weekend. Later, you head down to the club, pass tennis court after tennis court, and say hi to the regulars. You make your way to the stables and say hi to your childhood horse. When you meet your grandparents in the Hamptons, you find a cute sailing instructor and choose to feign ignorance even though you were on the junior Olympic sailing team when you were 10. The sailing instructor asks you to be his date to the white party, and you dance the night away drunk on champagne. So what is the old money aesthetic? It's very similar to aesthetics that include like luxury, coquette, romantic, preppy, academia. It's sort of an amalgamation of all of those things. I attempted to make an old money family tree of like trying to connect all the different aesthetics, but there's just like so much incest that I don't know. When you think of old money, you think of the words classy, elegant, wealthy, classic. You think of the Northeast, you think of Europe, and you think of like East Coast rich versus West Coast rich. Rich versus wealthy. Rich screams, wealthy whispers. Whatever, that stupid thing. Old money versus new money. Old money kind of glorifies the 1920s to 60s preppy, wealthy aesthetic. These were people whose families made money in the turn of the century. So their families, the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, the JP Morgans, the Astors, they made their money turn of the century, 1890, 1880, etc. And this old money aesthetic is sort of the grandchildren of those tycoons of the turn of the century. So they haven't worked for their money, they inherited wealth, and now they are just part of society. The aesthetic is all about not having to worry about money, just the societal pressures, and you live your life in society. I'm watching The Gilded Age right now on HBO Max, and it's all about, I mean, being a socialite, being in society, going to the right museums, the right restaurants, talking to the right people, etc. Being old money is just learning all the tips and tricks and and all the things that a good socialite would do and wear. Get into like the foundations of the old money aesthetic, starting with the colors. You want to stick with black, white, cream, ivory, navy, browns, royal blue, and maybe some blush tones or like a preppy pink. You want to go with plaid, houndstooth, stripes, and argyle. Those are kind of the main, especially like nautical stripes. In terms of designers, think of Ralph Lauren, Lacoste, J. Crew, Chanel, Hermes, Brooks Brothers, Vineyard Vines, Tommy Hilfiger, Burberry, Barbour, Longchamp, Tiffany, Celine. These designers that have been around since the turn of the century. Icons to the aesthetic include anyone with the last name Kennedy, Vanderbilt, Rockefeller. If you have one of the kind of classic American royalty names, again, the tycoons of the turn of the century, so railroads, coal, whatever the Vanderbilts did. Think of the British royal family, Princess Di, Rose from the Titanic, Blair Waldorf, I think of influencers like Mina Marlena, Camry Huey, Kyle James Patrick, and Sarah Vickers. Media, so movies, TV shows that give the old money vibe. Definitely Gossip Girl. Definitely like the Gilded Age. Obviously, it's kind of about that time. Think of like Downton Abbey, Dead Poets Society, the movie Thoroughbreds with Anya Taylor-Joy, Cruel Intentions. Movies and TV shows about the debauchery of rich people. The likes of the old money girl are vintage car racing, horseback riding, tennis, ballet, croquet, summering in France, golf, going to the country club, yachting, sailing, charity galas, opera, theater, art collecting. Just what rich people do to take up their time. Occupation of an old money person is a philanthropist, an heiress, a socialite, an influencer, an artist, a gallery owner, kind of these frivolous jobs that you sort of just inherit into. Oh, take over my foundation, be the head of my art gallery. Some staples of the old money aesthetic in terms of fashion include button downs, tennis skirts, cable knits, blazers, trousers, plaid, cardigans, varsity sweaters, that type of vibe. Very 80s preppy, 80s yuppie. That's a good, I feel like, that was the original old money aesthetic, is like the 80s preppy craze that happened, especially in the early 80s. Think of like John Hughes movies and stuff. This is a very like 80s preppy Ralph Lauren button down that I'm wearing right now. In terms of shoes, think of riding boots, Mary Janes, loafers. Honestly, like there's not that much variety in shoes. Even wearing something as gauche as like Louboutins with the red heel, that might be a little bit too flashy for old money. You want to just stick with like very, old money is in a lot of ways, at least stylistically, quite understated in some ways. We'll get into it. Accessories for the old money person, think of headbands, a ribbon in your hair, pearls, cravats, Tiffany and Cartier jewelry, classic handbags like a Chanel flat bag or a Louis Vuitton. And you want to keep the jewelry relatively simple. You don't want to over accessorize. So, some criticisms of old money. I mean, there's a lot.
I hate people who get on this app and romanticize old money, especially as a fashion aesthetic. What's old money? They're almost never talking about like ancient Egypt. They're almost never talking about the billionaires in Nigeria. They're almost never talking about the Benin Empire. They're almost always talking about northeastern white families. It's giving plantation money. It's giving very blood diamonds.
I asked on my Instagram, like I do for all my videos, what y'all thought about this. 12% of people said, the old money is just not my vibe. 18% said it glamorizes exploitative money hoarders. 53% said we get to take back a once exclusive style and make it our own. And 18% said they were neutral. Some comments that I got said, it's very basic, I like the look and it's super fun, though there's still an air of exclusivity and whiteness despite there being efforts for diversity. I've seen the same thing in dark academia. One of my friends said, I'm having a trauma response. And I mean, listen, you guys, let me just break something down for you really quick. Some like cold, hard, honest truth. Rich people fucking suck. Rich people are exploitative. And I don't mean your dad who's a lawyer. I don't mean your emergency room doctor parents. I mean like the top 1%. I mean the 0.00001%. I'm talking Rockefellers, Vanderbilts, JP Morgan, royal family. And in modern day, let's think like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Let me just make it crystal clear to you guys, literally no way to become a billionaire without exploiting people. All of these old money people are wealth hoarders. They used prison labor, they used chain gangs, they used slaves to amass their wealth. And once they amassed their wealth, they cheated the tax system, they cheated people out of money, and they hoarded and hoarded and hoarded and kept it within the family. Okay? I've joked before that like Listen, back in the Marie Antoinette days, when rich people were flaunting their wealth to the masses, at least it was tasteful. Now we get these Balenciaga morph suits. I am sort of part of that rhetoric when it comes to East Coast rich and West Coast rich, or old money versus new money. I do think old money is a lot more tasteful in a lot of ways. I hate logomania. I hate white minimalist homes. Oh, aesthetically, I do find old money to be superior. If you're gonna hoard wealth, I much rather look at the Louvre versus the Kardashian house. I much rather look at the interiors of Rosecliff in Newport, Rhode Island than I would like the interiors on Selling Sunset. Like when I went to Versailles, for example, room after room with gold walls and painting after painting of men with guns, I was like, this is masturbatory. I mean, literally, I mean, it really is. I'm using the word masturbatory in a very specific way. Like, it really is like you were just jerking yourself off to make this giant country home compared to the Louvre. I actually ended up leaving the tour of Versailles because I was like, this feels like Trump Tower. This is just like so gilded, so gaudy, so over the top, so in your face wealth bragging. While at the time when Versailles was built, people were living in mud huts that like I had to leave because it was just grossing me out. In the same way that seeing these like Selling Sunset Hollywood Hills houses grosses me out, or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or the Kardashians or Trump, any of that. Like it just, the masturbatory level of wealth hoarding and wealth bragging, like actually I need to remove myself from the situation. That's the criticism of old money. And that's the criticism of emulating any type of wealthy person fashion, because wealthy people at that level don't earn their money, they hoard it. Also, the old money aesthetic and the sort of WASP aesthetic that comes from it has a very long history of like fat phobia. Echelon rich people have, especially in the United States, have been so focused on thinness. Think of Kim Kardashian in the Marilyn Monroe dress. So that's a big part of it, is that like thinness is also being a waif, being just like, oh, this is my perfect daughter with her pale white skin that's never seen the sun and her shiny hair that gets washed by maids, and she's such a waif because she can exercise and blah blah. Like that thinness aspect is also a very foundational piece to kind of the old money aesthetic. Okay, now that I've all signed you guys up for the Socialist Party, we are gonna go into getting the look for the old money aesthetic. I love the idea of people like clicking on my videos who have never watched my videos before, like of Coquette or Sufjan Stevens Summer or Key West Kitten or this, and being like, I want to learn how to thrift this. And then you just hear me rant about like hating rich people or like colonization for 5 minutes, and you're like, this took a turn. I didn't expect this. Your outfits should be able to go from the country club to a museum to a fancy restaurant. So you want to think of classy basics: button downs, trousers, varsity sweaters, loafers, tennis skirts, simple jewelry. Think about being understated rather than over accessorizing like you would for like the hyper feminine coquette or messy French girl. That's all about draping jewels, putting on as much accessories as you possibly can. Old money, you definitely want to scale it back a little bit. It's about being, you don't need wealth whispers. Stick into the color palette of ivories, navies, blacks, browns, royal blue, hunter green, blush tones. Your hair should be put together, slicked back bun or ponytail, or like an effortless blowout, half up, half down. Nothing too styled or intricate. All about being effortless and just like my hair naturally looks beautiful. Less is more when it comes to old money. You want to look just put together, not overly put together. So when you are going out to a thrift store, because as you know, when we shop fashion aesthetics, we only shop thrifted and secondhand fashion, or we use what we own. When you're looking in your closet or at a thrift store, Depop, ThredUp, Poshmark, that jazz, you want to look at button downs, v-neck sweaters, university or nautical style tops. So think of things with a crest, university stripes on the v-neck or on the arms, nautical stripes going around, sweaters to like drape over your shoulder, tennis skirts, suit sets. Tweed is a really popular like texture. Tweed is very like signature Chanel. So tweed jackets, tweed skirts, that type of thing. Plaid and tartan, like I mentioned before, houndstooth. In terms of like silhouette, it's very basic, right? Like sweaters, skirts, trousers, suits. Very, very basic in terms of silhouette, very, very basic in terms of color. So think about the textures you want to include: silks, tweed, wool, more intricate textures in your garments, because the rest of old money is so understated that when you want the garments, you want a lot of textural diversity. Make the outfit feel more interesting, and that includes with like patterns as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this style analysis on the old money aesthetic. This is very similar to like my messy French girl or coquette videos, a little bit on the shorter side and kind of short and sweet, to the point, not so rambly like my last 3 videos. So I hope you liked it. Definitely leave a comment down below what you think about the old money aesthetic and what aesthetic you want me to cover next. I have a few in my mind, but I always love to hear from you. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram because I post content there every single day. And remember to eat the rich, and you have nothing to lose but your chains. Have a happy, happy day. Bye.